Evening everybody, and welcome to another Meccano model video. This one being just a little bit more crazy than the multi-models series of sets. This is from the Rabbids series, this model being December 2012. They've stopped production now and probably have done so for over 6 months, maybe more than that, might be a year. Of course, there's still quite a few about of some of the series, and others are quite rare indeed. Now, I used to detest these sets, thinking that they weren't Meccano buds, to quote Ralph Lawton, and I have to hang my head in shame. There is a lot of traditional Meccano in some of these sets. Not so much in this one, because it's a fairly small one, although not the smallest. And we have a Rabbids Rodeo Machine. And without further ado, we'll show you how it works. Wow! Or to put in a more Rabbids accent, it's something like this. Wow! As you can see, it's quite fun. Quite a tricky model in some parts, and that trickiness does translate to watch out, it's coming, and I'll come on to that later. This set, I say, is 2012. There is still some of these around. At the time I was looking to complete the series, and in fact I still am with a couple of models. These were available quite cheaply on the Amazon France Meccano shop. The layout's the same, of course it's all in French, and it's been christened Russian roulette with your credit card. If you're registered to Amazon UK, it's straight log into there and everything works. Everything's the same layout, so you can do it quite easily. And not always, at the moment some of the prices are quite high, but going back to when these were purchased with several others, the prices were quite fair, and even with the postage from France, again, still quite reasonable. This set was about, I think it's about €13.5, which at the current rate now is probably about 10 quid, maybe a little bit more than that. Around 10 quid anyway. Of course there was the postage on top of that, but bundling a few together made it a lot more value for money, if you like. So you've seen it in action, and that's essentially what it is. It's about an hour and a half to build. Nothing too complicated. Bits of it a little fiddly, mainly relating to these flexible plates here, which are quite springy. I'll come on to that a bit in the next bit, but solid construction, not too bad. We have got rubber grommets, of course, to hold axles on. It's a bit awkward to hold because it's still a bit shiny. In fact, I'll move the instruction book for now, and be easy to hold, and hopefully there, well, a little. So there you go. It's a simple setup. We've got a crank handle, as you've seen already, and a crank made up on a 1.5 inch pulley with a narrow strip underneath connected there. We've also got an elastic band at the back there. The main purpose of that is to keep the rabbit in place. There is a little tension on when it's at fullest extent, so it will help to bring it back as well. Quite an intricate construction in the space provided, but overall nothing too major to worry about. So, what issues? Well, I don't think there was anything really regarding the build. Just things that perhaps traditionalists in Meccano circles would know already. The first one being the bolts through the holes in the flexible plates, especially the slotted ones, to stop any distortion, and in the end it wasn't too bad. You really need washers on them. Of course you haven't got enough in the set, and it wouldn't look so neat, it's granted, but to prevent damage to those plates you really need washers. When you are starting to put, you get the one side and leave it a little bit loose, and you fold it round to the other side, and you're trying to hold it all together and push the bolt through the hole and get the nut on the back. Whatever you do, don't loose the plate. It flings well. It's a fantastic catapult for a little standard bolt. Don't get in the way. Fortunately, in my case, there was plenty of room and nobody about, and it died before it hit the window, but I dare say it would have put a nice crack in the window if nothing else. Also, like many models of different, shall we say, themes and different types of sets, different ranges, there are times when it's best to leave some bolts loose from one stage till later on, and with all these, this is a case in point. Don't tighten them up fully till you've adjusted them, got the other bolts in, then tighten the lot together a few stages later on. As in perhaps many models, if not all, attention to detail is quite important, and no matter how good diagrams are, and in this case I think they're pretty good, and we'll have a look at them shortly, you look at the diagram and you think, right, this goes there, that goes there, well that should be in this position, that angle, whatever. I did that making sure that I was looking at the right thing and doing the right thing, and it relates to the trunnion here and its bracket. So I put it together, and then I operated the crank later on and found that it touched. It just came down and touched the pulley there. So I think it's stage 24. Make sure that doesn't touch there. And just before that stage is probably the most awkward thing to do, is trying to thread the drive band through the trunnion. It's going to be quite hard to show you. Oh, you can just see there. Thread the drive band through that trunnion for his, should we call it the seat belt for the Rabbid, and a slight return spring if you like, or assistance. So what I did, I put the Allen key, the short end, over it and pushed it through the hole with a bit of messing around to get it through. Then once it's through, make sure it doesn't drop out, and use the Allen key as a hook to pull it up through. I tried it from the top, and it's just, well, it's flexible. It just does not want to go where you want it to go. But as I say, attention to detail on the position of the trunnion and its bracket underneath the bull, so it clears the pulley, and we get quite smooth operation there. So here we have an example of the instructions, and as you can see they're quite large and quite clear. Of course it's a small model, and each stage only does a little bit, like add one bolt to a part or a couple of parts together maybe. So there's plenty of room in this instruction booklet. Of course this is age range from 7 plus, not 8 plus, so it is noticeably clearer and simpler to do for the most part. There is an issue though on stage 25. This is a bit of a killer really. It's alright if you've got plenty of sets because you've got an extra spanner. Well, you see, stage 25 here, adding this long bolt onto this small pulley to make your crank angle. Now if I show you now the actual model, you'll see here we have that handle through the 1-inch pulley. However, if you fit it with the one Allen key and the one spanner, the only way to do it would be to screw the nut there right the way up to the plain part of the shaft on the bolt to stop it moving. Then put the nut on the back, use the Allen key to hold the bolt, tighten the nut up there. The trouble is then the bolt protrudes too far in, and then as you rotate it, if I can do this with one hand really, as you rotate the crank, as you can see there, it's fine, it clears the bracket, but doing it as I've just mentioned, the bolt at this end would catch that bracket, so you've got to do it so it clears, and you can only do that with 2 spanners. So again, it's one of those things where you think, did anybody ever make it? But that was the only thing really. Feeding the drive band through the trunnion was far more frustrating. So there you are, a simple build, well, for the most part, just an hour and a half to do, and some of that time was probably whilst I hunted for the bolt that flew across the room from one of these flexible plates. But there you are, it's alright. It actually does something. It's quite neat. I could probably make it a little bit smoother if I did actually tighten up a few things that I purposely left a little bit more lanky than perhaps necessary, such as the pivot pin here. Well, it's not a proper pivot pin, but the bolt there that is held on by an encapsulated nut, that could do with a bit of a tweak. It would make it smoother, but it does run quite freely. There's no lubrication on it at the moment, and it's fine really for hand use anyway. So plenty more sets to come if I can find my notes, which is proving a bit problematic. So I think I might have to start building, then doing the videos instead of leaving it for a bit till I'm really ready. But there you are. So see you again soon.